regular people cannot do. Or, he was telling some things that about future, especially those sick people, who were healed by him. And some other, religious, things that he was really good. So his reputation was heard by the emperor, by Emperor Domitianus. He was a very dominant character among the other Roman emperors. In his time, there were very bad stories that happened. So the Christians, they really hate Emperor Domitianus. As a protest, in every statues of him that was done later in the following centuries and years after the time given Christianity when it became the official religion after 395 AD, the Christians were putting a cross, on his forehead. In every statues of him, we see him with that marker. It was a kind of protest by the Christians. Even a short time before he died, he became Christian. A short time ago, he was converted to Christian. Became Christian. Even that Christians were not happy with that. They were not convinced, with that. So as a protest, we see the cross on his forehead. So in the time of Emperor Domitianus, Saint John the disciple was exiled on Patmos Island. Patmos is one of the Greek islands close to the western part of Turkey where we are. It takes a couple of hours by ferry. He was exiled on Patmos Island as a punishment. Actually, they were planning to kill. Him, but they afraid. They afraid to kill him as he had some extraordinary, powers and he's talented and he's gifted by God. They understood this very well, so they afraid to kill him. They just sent him on exile. During his exile time, he wrote the last book, Book of Revelation. That's why he's known as Saint John of Patmos. It is the reason. So what happened to Mother Mary while he was away from here on exile on Patmos Island?
She stayed here.
Of course he couldn't, yes. Of course he couldn't take her on Patmos on the exile. So he had to find a secret and proper place for Mother Mary. This is the reason he chose the top of this mountain, close to Ephesus, but still takes some way. On an isolated place, he built a little cottage for her. This is the reason why the house was built up here. So traditionally it's believed that Mother Mary, she spent only her final days in this house. Not too long, only her final days. Because, someone cannot live here too long. As alone, as a lady. She mustn't live, here too long. The historians, they believe that, many of the scholars and historians, they agree on one idea that she only spent her final days, maybe maximum like a month, 1 month that she lived in this place. Mustn't be more than that. And she most probably died at the age of 64.
She was young.
Young, yes,
Yeah.
64. As it's traditionally believed that she was ascended to heaven, that's why they couldn't find her body.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
That's what I thought also, that Mother Mary ascended to heaven and she didn't die.
Yes.
She didn't die.
Didn't die, yes. Ascended to
That
heaven.
is why
Right.
no remains of her.
Another very common, very strong belief is that she died in this house. She was buried somewhere near the house. Her body is known, corpse is known, but saved as a secret, secrecy. No one is, some people only. Maybe, it's kept in the Vatican that nobody knows. It's just a belief, it's just a belief, but mainly it's said that, she was ascended to, heaven. That's why, they didn't find her body. Right. Small and separate communities were living around. Some Christians were living around. Probably these were the remains of those people. They had the water cisterns and fountains and other structures. So it's not surprising to have these remains. And some other people, they are thinking that this would be used as an, maybe used as an baptism pool.
Yeah.
Can be.
Okay.
Can be, but some of the other historians, they told that this is too big to be a baptism pool, and no steps goes down. There's no way, no steps goes down.
There's no
So
way.
it doesn't make sense. So it makes much more sense to be used as a water cistern.
Water system.
So let me tell about the rest of the story of the house of Virgin Mary. Okay. Lastly, I told that Saint John the Disciple, he was exiled on Patmos Island, and before he exiled on Patmos, he had to find a secret place for Virgin Mary because he couldn't take her with him on Patmos. This is the reason he chose this isolated place, and quickly he built a house with local stones around, and then left her in here and went to exile. And Mother Mary, she only spent her final days in this house. Now the question mark is how this house was found. Since when it's been known as the house of Virgin Mary? Who declared this, as the house of Virgin Mary when it was excavated? I'm going to tell about these details. So first of all, I'm going to tell about a lady whose name was Anna Catherine Emmerich. She lived in Germany in between 1770s, 1820s. This is the time period that she lived. She was born in Germany, lived in Germany, died in Germany. She was German for she was all in Germany, all in her life. Probably never been out of Germany. And once we think that time of hard traveling condition, even during the 18th century AD, it was hard to travel. And as a nun, because she was a nun, Anna Catherine Emmerich, she was a very, very devoted lady to her religion. She was a very strong Catholic. When she was a little girl, even her family, they were really aware that she's special, she's talented, she's gifted by God with some extraordinary powers, because she was able to tell about future, what happened in the past, what's going on, and some things that happened long time ago in the early Christian period, especially those religious events she was able to tell. Sometimes she had some visions, and in that time, while telling about her vision, for example, in one time she got some burns on her injuries, some on her hands and foot. She got stigmatized.
Stigmatized.
Very
Yes,
rare
yes.
people in the world,
Yes.
got this vision and stigmatized. She's one of them, one of 3 people that she got stigmatized. And that really happened. That's why she's very important, and many people that are believing her, they are thinking that maybe God wants to say something true with
Through
her. Right.
Yeah.
The day when she got that injuries on her hand and foot, in that time she was telling about the time of crucifixion. She said, I can see Jesus on the cross and Mother Mary and every people who were there. She was telling the tortures that was given by those Roman soldiers to him and everything. In that moment, the people around her, they saw on her hand there is an injuries. There was some blood, bleeding. Her hands were bleeding, and that's really happened. That is the reason why she is so much respectful, and they believe to her visions and tellings. One day she told about this house. This house, till that time, it was just like a legend. It was just like a story told from people to people. Never a place is mentioned as the house of Virgin Mary. Only exception of one, belief that the house, which is traditionally, told from people to people, must had been nearby Ephesus city. It must be somewhere near Ephesus. Because in the Bible, St. John the disciple is giving many information about Ephesus, about his journeys down the Asia Minor, and his works in Ephesus and in some other cities in Ephesus, in some other cities that what he did and about Christian people and everything. She gave very detailed information. So the house traditionally was believed to be somewhere nearby Ephesus, but where? It was not known till the vision of this lady, Anne-Catherine Emmerich. Anne-Catherine Emmerich's reputation was heard by a French priest, and he was a writer as well, okay, a poet, writer, priest. His name was Bramantino. After hearing the fame of this lady, he decided to go and talk to her, and had been to talk to her several times, and he took several notes and recordings and everything. And also Bramantino, he was witness to many visions and many those spiritual things that she had while she was telling those early Christianity things, Christian events. And Bramantino, he decided to write all those things in a book. Okay, all those things in a book. And after the death of Anne-Catherine Emmerich, after 1820s, he decided to write a book. Totally, he wrote 3 books. The names of those books was The Life of Mother Mary, The Life of Anne-Catherine Emmerich, the German nun Anne-Catherine Emmerich, and The Bitter Life of Our Lord Jesus Christ. These were the books were written by Bramantino, and later, in the later years, there were some new editions of those books. Once those books were, published and written and read a lot by people, there was getting a big interest to Ephesus area. Ephesus was being started to visit by some Christian people. There were some Christian people who were coming to visit this area. But they didn't know that this is the house of Virgin Mary, just visiting this area. And this area in that time used to be called as Panaya Kapulu. Panaya Kapulu means the gate opening to Mother Mary's place. So those villagers, they gave all this information to those historians, and historians also were searching and tried to talk to those people, what's going on, what is the tradition, what's the belief in the area. So after 6 months of works, after discovering this place, and when they saw that everything was just fitting very well with the description of Anne-Catherine Emmerich. Anne-Catherine Emmerich, she described here in detail and written by Bramantino later in the books. She said, I can see Mother Mary, for example. She's sleeping on the ground. I can see the sound of the water, the spring, water that moves around underneath the house. There's that water, spring water. I can hear the sound. So she's sleeping with a big peace. I can see the ocean from up there. Really, when the weather is clear, the ocean is visible from the top of this hill. I can see some Christian people around. She described them as tent making people. She mostly described them as tent making people. Even about their jobs and things, she gave detailed information. And the historians and archaeologists, once they found these details, things that's just fitting very well with the description of Anne-Catherine Emmerich, and then they decided to rebuild the house. The house was reconstructed, they put a roof, and the rest of the wall was finished. Today there's a red mark in between the original and the artificial part. You can easily see which is the original, which is the artificial, sections of the house. So the house foundation story, it is related with this German nun, Anne-Catherine Emmerich. And in 1953, the house was converted into a chapel, converted into a church. Since then, it's used as a church. And this place is important for the Catholics, of course. And being important for the Catholics, in the same time, it's important for the Muslim people as well. Because in Quran, it was this place, pardon, not this place, but Mother Mary was mentioned several times. That's why she's important for the Muslim people. It's also visited by the Muslims. She's important to be the mother of a prophet. This is the reason for the Muslim belief. So it's one of the unique places in the world, both important for the Catholics and the Muslim people, right?
We are on our way to the house of Virgin Mary, which is believed to be the residence of Mother Mary before she ascended to heaven. These are olive trees. Wow, 100 century-year-old trees.
Mary was beautiful.
She
She was beautiful.
is. Oh my God. Wow, that's the house of Mama Mary. Oh my goodness. Maryam Anna is a place of worship.
Everything has a reason.
Oh, my church. So every 15th of August, which is the Ascension Day of Mama Mary, Selcuk people comes here. Siguro yun na yung panata nila na every year they will have a mass here. Ito na kami sa labas ng church. Unfortunately, it's not allowed to take a video or photo inside. The place is just small. There's an altar where the image of Mama Mary is. The feeling is actually, it's giving me goosebumps. The extracts from the Quran. So even in the Quran, Virgin Mary was mentioned. So guys, as you can see, etong red bricks na ito, darker, and this one is lighter. Ibig sabihin, etong babang part is the original structure of the house. So ito naman, yan na yung bago. Yes. Okay guys, this is a water faucet that is believed to be miraculous. So hanggang bisik-bisik na lang muna. God, more blessings. Sana magka-jowa na si Ate. Bisikan mo. Go. Good health for our family and friends. And for more travels.